In a world that seems to have no shortage of trouble and tragedy, pressing onwards can feel like a Herculean task. Sometimes it feels easier to relent and despair. Depression is the world's leading disability. 264 million people suffer from depression, and 1 in 5 college students have anxiety or depression. Getting the proper care that we need can also be an arduous effort when our time is constrained and quality care is sparse. DACTR is meant to stand in the gap for those people. The 2 fundamental aims of this program are to inform and equip. We inform our users about their condition and facilitate the flow of information between them and their healthcare providers. But we don't stop there. We equip our users to take the reins of their life back through productive practices like journaling and self-analysis, as well as through routines and behaviors that reinvigorate the soul and connect our users to the things that they love.
In response to such a problem, we believe that we are up to the challenge. Our student team is comprised of people that are passionate about healthcare, technologically astute, creatively oriented, and entrepreneurially competent. We've also brought in a team that functions as our advisory board to ensure that our product is as potent and technically rigorous as can be. This team consists of doctors, psychiatrists, researchers, and mental health professionals who ensure that our operations remain under a medical light and support our endeavors. These individuals have decades of experience in the fields of depression, psychology, and mental health, and impart their knowledge to us to ensure that we not only find success in this pursuit, but have the ability to change the lives of individuals affected by mental health problems. Our advisory board, representing facilities like the Pennsylvania Psychiatric Institute, Penn State Milton S. Hershey Center, and the Penn State College of Medicine, recognizes the importance of behavioral activation and believes in what DACTR is working on. At DACTR, we are working towards your empowered future, and we're now excited to show you what we have so far and where we will be going in the future.
For the demo aspect, let's meet Madeline. Madeline is a junior in college who studies engineering, who was recently diagnosed with depression by her mental health professional, Dr. James. Over the past month, she has found it difficult to meet with her provider due to both the tight schedule of college life and her provider's distance from where she resides. As visits are the primary way she can receive treatment, she is finding it difficult to mitigate her symptoms. Here's how DACTR can help. After logging into DACTR, Madeline can write down her thoughts in a daily journal by answering targeted short answer questions adapted from several mental health questionnaires like the Beck Inventory and the PHQ-9. Today, she's answering questions based on how she feels and a little bit about her past day, in which she met her parents after a long time. When finished, the DACTR application will apply natural language processing to understand the user's input, and then will apply behavioral activation, a method commonly used to help treat mental health issues by providing activity recommendations. After displaying the recommended activities, the system will then go on to both describe the activity and use the patient's location to recommend places near them where they can perform that specific activity. In this case, one of the recommendations was to go to a restaurant, as it detected a keyword, parents. Madeline's recommended activity history can be seen in the Activities tab, as well as other listed activities that users could receive as outputs. This way, the user can still find activities that may interest them, even if the recommendation system didn't offer that specific activity in response to a journal entry. Part of DACTR's core value proposition is that medical professionals like Dr. James would be able to view a patient like Madeline's journal entries, therefore allowing for remote monitoring of their patient should the patient consent. This increases accessibility for patients with tight schedules like Madeline, and for those who may have unreliable transport situations. By building a remote bridge between the patients and doctors, we are building a system that makes the treatment process more efficient and minimizes the constant office visits, which can now be reserved for those who really need an in-person visit. Patients can now do treatment on their own schedule, but can still know that their designated professional is keeping track of their progress on the clinician side of the app. For a demo of the clinician side and more demos, visit the linked video in our documentation. In our pursuit to create the most optimal app for depression and mental health problems, the inclusion of the emergency page, which links the user to regional and national hotlines, is imperative, as there will be times that patients like Madeline find their symptoms too overwhelming to handle. This way, Madeline can immediately get put in touch with a trained mental health professional who can be there for her in one of her darkest moments. And now, we'll talk about future implementations.
The future of DACTR contains features helping patients and clinicians address depression. When a patient logs in, they rate their current state, that is date and timestamp. DACTR will have journal prompts and will provide immediate CBT feedback. Here, Madeline is talking about how she had a stressful time playing tennis with her friend. Journals will be tagged and categorized into subcategories for later accessibility. If the patient feels uncomfortable journaling through the application and would rather have a subtle way to interact with DACTR, there is the option to journal through text message. DACTR currently recommends activities the patient would enjoy based off journal entries. The clinician would have the ability to endorse certain activities. DACTR recommends cycling and tennis based off previous entries. However, the clinician thinks tennis might not be the best option due to recent poor experience with tennis. The clinician endorses cycling and swimming instead. If Madeline decides to pursue these activities, she can check them off. The activities are connected to the patient's location, have other application suggestions, and accommodates to the patient's schedules. Patients have quick access to close contacts in social groups for support in person or on social platforms. If they feel like they are in immediate danger, they can have access to the crisis button that connects them with a 24/7 crisis hotline and emergency numbers. In the clinician app, each clinician must have a verified ID number. When logged in, they will be shown their list of patients ranked on how urgent the patient's situation is. Clicking on the patient expands the tab to show details of the alert. Madeline had trigger words from her last journal entry and her current happiness level dropped to 12%. Looking into the journal, Dr. James can see what she wrote and take action. DACTR has automatic suggestions based on the content from Madeline's journals and gives Dr. James the notification. DACTR suggests cycling and tennis from past entries, but Dr. James thinks Madeline should explore a new activity, swimming. She endorses 2 local classes for Madeline to take. Dr. James checks on the progress of Madeline's health the past few days. Aside from today, she has been fairly happy the past week and has been active with the activities recommended. Going to the health network, Dr. James is able to see a list of contacts she can assign based on Madeline's current state, whether she is stable enough to be independent or be connected with either a social worker, therapist, or psychiatrist. Dr. James thinks it's beneficial to assign a therapist from United Health to monitor and actively check in with Madeline.
Learn more about DACTR and our mission to improve your mental health at dactrgroup.com.